Ahoy, mateys! I bid you welcome to me channel, where everything your eyes are about to behold and your ears are about to hear will be done in one take. I be your host, the One Take Man, and that's all I'm gonna, say in that voice. In case you're wondering why I did that voice, well, it's because today, as of the time of this video's release, it will be International Talk Like a Pirate Day. And just like I did last year, I want to use this opportunity to talk about what is perhaps one of my favorite games of all time, Sid Meier's Pirates, the '04 remake. Well, to be honest, last year was more about talking, was more me talking uh, on behalf of the opportunity that that game presented. But now on the year the game actually turns 20, I thought I would talk about the game itself and actually give a review of it. You know, what are its good parts, what are its less good parts, and so on. If this video will come across as a little bit of a mess, well, that's because it's off the cuff. For the first time in a long time, I'm once again doing an off the cuff video review. Nevertheless, I am confident enough that I know this video game, well enough to be able to talk about it, even without, even without a script. Particularly when I consider that I've actually played this game, when it came out, and have come back to it on a few occasions since. So, what is there to say about Sid Meier's Pirates? Well, the TLDW for this review is this game is a great amalgamation of casual and deep, with a perfect with a perhaps not perfect, but a very carefully considered balance between the adventure aspects that come through exploration and action, allowing for gameplay that casuals can enjoy, but more and more hardcore gamers can also sink their teeth into, provided they have the inclination to do so. It is not perhaps perfect for more hardcore gameplay, because there are plenty of aspects that do not have that do not have as impressive as impressive an amount of depth, but it is nevertheless a game that has a great feeling and great responsiveness, and I can't really say anything. I can't really think of anything that speaks against it in any meaningful manner. So, if anything about the premise of exploring the Caribbean in a wooden ship, attacking other wooden ships, and just overall doing pirate stuff sounds interesting to you, then I can very much guarantee that you will enjoy playing playing this game. I would issue some content warnings, but truth be told, this game manages to be brutal but cartoonishly so. So there is no need. So there is no need to. So there really is no need to add almost any content warning. Just go in, and if you like it, fine. Anyway, now that I'm done with the general information, it's time I delve into some specifics. And because I'm a story guy, that's where I'll start. Also, because the story is the simplest thing to talk about when it comes to this game, because this game follows a somewhat classic tradition of gameplay, where the story is just an excuse for the rest of the game to take place. It is just something to give to give the player a set of goals to pursue over the game. It's not necessarily something that is that is that it is not necessarily something that is constructed or revealed in any particularly complex manner. And the framing is very much just a story of revenge, where the player character grew up in a in a well-off family, uh, a family which, due to debt, has has fallen out of favor and has since been uh, captured by a villain, and it is now up to the player character to recover them and also get his revenge, because yes, the player character is the default male, so to speak. Uh, the story that does exist more or less emerges during gameplay, as in you, the player character, have done that, uh, have captured this many ships, have defeated this pirate, have sacked this and that city, etc., etc. So it is very much a free form story, but it is not particularly involved. It doesn't really go particularly deep in any kind of narrative direction. Even encounters with family members or or the romantic side quests that this game has doesn't don't really pose any uh, don't really present a particularly deep or any particularly deep or involved story. It's just there as another. It's just there as another hat in your as another hat in your feather, as another feather in your hat. Something to make your gameplay experience all the more memorable. And it counts basically as much as anything else counts towards towards your in-game accomplishments. So how do you get those in-game accomplishments, or how does gameplay work? Well, it is very that is a good that's a good question, and the answer for the most part is mini games. When attacking a ship, you go into a battle mini game, and if by the time you approach the ship is still the commander of the ship, let's say, hasn't decided to quit, then you go into a combat mini game. Not even a boarding mini game, because boarding seems to have already mostly taken place. When the actual mini game happens, but rather it's a combat mini game between yourself and the commander of the opposing ship. And there isn't really much of a life bar, but there seems to be some kind of an advantage system that I wasn't really capable of and really not capable of figuring out. And regardless, the actual combat is very responsive, and it has a very intuitive feel. It comes across very much like a rhythm game. Like, you have to make sure that the correct sequence gets put in place. Except the rhythm isn't as much a sound-based rhythm as it is a visual one, a pattern. If you choose to do so, if you choose to view it as such. Similarly, I can say similar things about various other aspects of the game. A lot of this game is actually based around mini games. There's a dancing mini game. There's a city sacking mini game. There's there's arguably even a little bit of an exploration mini game when it comes to finding treasure. And for the most part, I have to say all of these games feel responsive, feel sharp, and are very expertly capable of showcasing the feel or of imparting the feeling of actually being involved within the circumstances the game depicts, of being not just part of a developing action, but also but also actively developing the action within the game, which I have to say is a is a very welcome feeling to unfold. Unfortunately, I can't really say that all of these mini games are particularly in depth. Primarily, when it comes to combat, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on on attack, and the game is able to communicate that well. But when it comes to defensive actions, I don't think these are communicated as effectively as they could be, and I don't necessarily think that what is communicated would actually work. So to some extent, maybe that maybe that aspect of the rhythm hasn't really been worked out, hasn't been smoothed out as effectively as the other aspects. Then there are occasions when, for example, in treasure seeking, the treasure itself simply won't spawn, and the game doesn't allow you to progress to the next treasure. You have to find, that one treasure before you're capable of going any further. So if you get one of those, so if you get a treasure that doesn't spawn, well, yeah, tough luck. Then again, that problem seems to mainly be a problem for newer hardware, not necessarily the older one, not necessarily older styles of hardware, or more precisely, when I played this when the game was brand new or close to brand new, I didn't really have that issue. But I have this issue with my current laptop. Can't really explain it. Maybe my I'll just stick to I can't explain it and move ahead. Really, the main problem when it comes to the gameplay isn't really about the games itself, but what you do between these games, which is and this might sound weird to say, but sailing is kind of very boringly put together. Particularly in higher difficulties, this thing that you spend at the very least around half the game actually doing, sailing from place to place, is is really not responsive, not responsive, and not as constructive as it could be. It doesn't have any of the dimension and feedback that other aspects of the game have, and that particularly leads to frustration. While higher difficulties unlock more options when it comes to when it comes to other aspects of gameplay, when it comes to the one could call central aspect of gameplay, it doesn't really feel as effective as it could be. Also, when you consider that when you're first creating your character, you can choose a specific skill. There are various skills that you can choose that that do not really add anything to the game or make it actively harder, more difficult to actually carry through. So you can inadvertently make your game experience more frustrating than it should be. I imagine then again this could just be an aspect of the game design being a little bit more old school, a little bit more focused on addressing the technical aspects of gameplay rather than granting the player an experience and therefore and a narrative. But it is still noteworthy. And when I go through that kind of thing where I see that a particular choice I made at the beginning of the game stumps me in a place where a different choice at the beginning of the game wouldn't have, I do not find that to be enriching. I find that to be frustrating right now. Like the game itself didn't have, is somehow isn't as capable of providing players with the depth of experience that it could. Like there already is a difficulty section, so why would you create additional why would you create additional barriers? That's something to consider. That the skills are that the skills are something of a are a little bit of a mess, especially when you consider other aspects of how the game functions. Also, the aside from that, however, I have to say the graphics look particularly well. Admittedly, the sailing, which I mentioned before, isn't really improved much by the graphics, given the sea doesn't seem to have a lot of textures, and even when it comes to storms, there isn't a lot of dynamism, or there aren't really a lot of dynamic aspects to the sea. Maybe because the map itself is a little bit too zoomed out in order to fully get that experience. But when it comes to actual locations or going on foot and exploring various locations, it actually the all the designs actually allow the the world to become vibrant and to really come to life. It is a somewhat cartoonish early 3D style of design and animation, but it works. It has its charm, and it is in its own way engrossing and interesting to behold. Overall, while there are aspects of this game that I think could benefit from some improvements, and I have specified what these improvements could actually look like in in a previous video. Going back to this game never feels like a chore or a slog, and even now with when I have several plays under my belt, even more recently, I still find myself tempted to not just talk about it, but maybe occasionally even go back and see what else I can do throughout the experience. See what other adventures I could cook up. My final rating for Sid Meier's Pirates 2004 is a 4 out of 5. I'm perhaps not giving it a 4 out of 5 as enthusiastically as I would have with other occasions, but still, the total package still is very much worthy of this level of praise. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the game itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about books and literature, mostly. A link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also recommend to check out should you choose to. Additionally, I also have a Patreon where, depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks, the specifics of which I will allow you to discover for yourselves. Again, if you're interested in doing so. And yeah, that was all I had to say. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.